everyone, welcome back to the Acta Non-Verba podcast. Today I'm super glad to have a very dear friend to me who is in the very other end of the world right now, living her best life as a copywriter. But yeah, well, just first of all, thank you, Cari, for being here. She is Carina. She is also known as the ethical copywriter, and she's a strategic copywriter and storyteller who helps sustainable and ethical brands and coaches make a greater impact in the world through the power of marketing. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so well, you and I both have spoken for such a long time, both being copywriters from Argentina. By the way, Argentina, from everyone else listening from Argentina, she's the example that you can fucking make it. And yes, you can like swear in the podcast if you want to, but she's living her best life. And where are you currently? Because she keeps traveling all over the place. I keep
so I'm actually like a digital nomad. I don't really love that term, but I do live 1 month in each place, and I'm in Indonesia right now on an island called Lombok. So it's right next to Bali.
Oh, so right next to Bali. So that's cool. So basically, could you like tell the people who don't know you basically what you do?
Welcome to the Acta Non-Verba podcast. I'm Meji, and here we'll talk about business, freelance, mindset, education, mental health, life, personal growth, and everything to help you overcome your fears, know yourself, and create the life and career of your dreams. Episodes in English and Spanish every week.
Yeah, I'm a copywriter. Like you just said, actually, I call myself a marketer more than a copywriter. I think I started out thinking I was a copywriter just because I was doing the writing. And then I realized like I actually had to learn and understand a lot more than just the words to make it work, and to have better metrics to get my clients better results. So yeah, that's what I would call myself. I work with sustainable vegan brands, people who want to really make a positive impact in the world. That's the people I want to work with. And those are my clients.
I love it. And I love the fact that you stay true to yourself. And I love the fact that you do that, because sometimes, and I mean, I know that we're going to talk about this because we talk about this every time on Instagram, but the importance of actually like being like staying true to yourself, right? Like working for something that is, that is in alignment with your values. That makes a lot of sense. And that, to me, that's what makes you happy. More than just, of course, the freedom and making money and traveling and all of that, but like actually staying true to yourself. Like if you're, I don't know, if you're vegan and if you're, an ecologist, you don't want to write for a fast fashion brand, for example, because that wouldn't make you happy. So I guess my question would be like, if you had to tell me something about your past or anything that you want to tell me so I can understand the person standing in front of me, like what brought you here and what made you like make that decision to become the ethical writer and not just anything writer. Because like, in marketing, there's people who actually want to like sell to everyone because they don't want to lose the dollars and the clients, but you chose to go the other way. And I think that's super cool. So yeah.
It's actually like a two answer thing here, because it's like on the one hand, there's the kind of clients that I want to work with, and those are clients that are aligned with me. But on the other hand, it's the way I see marketing nowadays. So it's like a twofold answer. And so let's start with my clients. The thing is, when I started being a copywriter, when I started working as a copywriter, I started online just like everyone else. And I got hired by this agency, and it was great. I had like a marketing one-on-one crash course with the agency owner. It was fantastic. I learned so much. I was there for like a year and a half. But the last maybe 6 months or so, there was this client who was just really, I'd like to say not aligned, but actually I would just say she had very opposing views with me about the world, about her particular niche that I'm not going to reveal because it's private, but we just thought very opposite, very different things. The things that I think about the world in terms of sustainability, feminism, all these things where I want equality, she was kind of going in the opposite direction. And for me to be working, I mean, when you're a copywriter, you need to get this, right? You're like an actor. You're going into someone's skin. You need to speak like them. You need to be them for a bit, right? So for me to like be that person and think like that person, I was just like devastated. It was burning my brain. I just didn't feel good at the end of the day. And the worst part is like I could see that we were getting results for her. And I kind of hated myself for that. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want that person to succeed, but they had to succeed because they were the agency's client and I was working in the agency. So it was this whole thing, which is also kind of what led me to be a freelancer, actually, because I thought, you know what, having the digital nomad life is cool, having a stable income is very cool, but I really want to get to choose my clients myself. I don't want to be in this situation ever again. And that's what led me to also brand myself as the ethical writer, because I really wanted my clients to know from the get-go that, you know, this is how I do things. This is the people I want to work with. And it's not personal. It's just like, I need to be invested in my client's success. For me, it's not like having the most clients that I can or getting the best paying clients or whatever. It's really getting clients that are aligned with me. And at the end of the day, I'm happy. I get excited for them. I always have new ideas for them because I'm also kind of their target market. So it's easier for me to think like their audience. So there's just so many things where your job becomes easier when you're working with people who are really, really, really aligned with who you are, who share your values, you know. And you also get that kind of team vibe with your clients, which is amazing because they really can see that you're invested in their future, you're invested in their vision, you believe in what they're doing. And that's amazing. That just fosters a great, healthy working relationship as well. So that's
Yeah.
reason. And then I would say
Oh,
the
there's
other reason,
more.
like,
I want to hear
oh
all of
yeah,
the
because that's like
reasons.
it's like a twofold answer, but I'd say you probably agree with me on the second part, which is ethical marketing to me, like in general, it's like the authenticity people are going towards nowadays. I feel like people are getting more savvy when as buyers, like they don't trust anyone anymore. It's like we're all getting more skeptical, and that's great. That's a good thing. Like before, people would just buy anything. You just say, hey, I want a glass of water for $2.99. Get it here. That's it. Boom. People wouldn't even question what's in the water. Like nobody would even look twice at it.
Yeah.
And now we're
Who's
all
behind the
so
water,
skeptical because,
everything.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think we're all kind of tired of getting lied to, and we're tired of that shitty marketing, you know, bro, kind of like buy this and it's promising everything and then nothing actually happens, you know, all these things. So for me, it's also, I went into marketing thinking, I mean, before I went into marketing, I used to think marketing was lying and cheating and, you know, being terrible to people and convincing people and screaming at them until they buy. And I hated it. I never thought I'd be a marketer. And I fell in love with marketing because I realized like it's actually about understanding them, understanding what they need, and then just making sure that you're able to work with a brand and get those products in front of the people who actually need them. And it's not about convincing the people who don't need them to buy them. It's just about making a good enough job that you can get in front of the right people. That to me is ethical marketing. That is actually my job as a copywriter. And it's actually really understanding the person who really wants the product to see why they prefer this one and not the next one, why they would buy from this brand and not the next one. Like that should be our jobs as marketers, you know, to get to that. But, you know, I guess we have to skip a few hurdles in the marketing world and ask consumers. So this is kind of the twofold answer for me, like the ethical writer as well.
Yeah. And it makes total sense to me what you're saying, because like if I think about it, I like to think of marketers as facilitators as well, because like that's exactly what you're saying. Sometimes you would have amazing clients, especially if you work, I know you work with coaches as well as I do. And sometimes you have amazing coaches that do like they're really, really good at what they do, but they don't know how to sell themselves. But that doesn't mean like you're throwing their services down their leads' throats. No, you're just facilitating and like translating in a way what they do. Sometimes they don't know how to explain it, if it's something complex or whatever. So you're there to help them translate what they do to their target audience. It's not like you're just trying to, you know, push to sell and like go get this, buy this. Like you kind of said it like, you know, bro marketing. And I think that if brands don't see this, and also it also, I think it ties with what you were saying about being ethical and sustainability, which is something I also care about, is if brands don't start seeing this, they are not going to last forever, because consumers are now more aware of these things, and people are not just like, you know, spending their dollars into something that doesn't align with them, or that they know it's doing something wrong for the planet we're living on. Of course, this is not for everyone. Not everybody thinks like this, but if you look at, I don't know, as millennials and Gen Zs, it is moving towards that direction. And the people who don't see this, I think these businesses will go down. And I think it's okay, because it's where the trend is going, and it's actually what the planet needs. But aside from that, I think that it, and what you were saying, it's true. And as a copywriter or a marketer, people need to know this. And if someone here is listening to us, whether you're a marketer, a copywriter, or you're a business owner, and you want to know how to sell more or whatever, you need to know that you cannot just like, copy paste anything to your website, or just write anything, because if it doesn't make sense, if it's not persuasive, but it doesn't have to be persuasive in a way that is like, go buy, or like, like using too negative emotions, because in marketing, you can use emotions, but there are emotions and emotions. It is okay to use a little bit of FOMO. It is okay to use a little bit of urgency, but when you use too much of that, I don't think it's good for the long term. But yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought right there. But it's I get it. Like it's, for me, it's like it gets me pumped up, because like in that same way, we're kind of aligned.
Totally agree.
I mean, we work with different niches, but we're very aligned in the same things. So I like that.
No, I absolutely agree. Like, I think everything what you said was exactly on point. And I mean, as consumers, it's kind of our job, I would say, if you will, to protect ourselves from fake marketing tactics, like fake urgency and fake, all these things. And I think we're doing a good job at protecting ourselves. So that's amazing, and that's why the world is shifting towards this. Even if you're buying products that destroy the planet, which I hope you're not, but even if that's your thing, like still becoming savvier, becoming smarter about your purchasing choices, it's just going to make you buy from the right people, quickly, and then you'll find the right brands easily. And that's our jobs as marketers, is to really, hone in on the power of branding, for example, to really kind of call out our tribe. So let's say we're working with a coach, like you just said. So yeah, there's a lot of coaches, but they're all different people, right? We all have different personalities. So not everyone is for everyone. And it's our job to show those people, the potential clients, like, this is who she is, or he, this is who they are, right? Like, do you like it or not? And some people are going to say no, and that's okay. Like, I think a great example of this is when a lot of people go into copywriting, or even a small business owners, they're really scared when they say in emails of the unsubscribe. They're so scared of people unsubscribing from their list, like, oh my God, no, I don't want my, and it's like, no, that's a good thing. Like, if you're writing your own emails, or if a copywriter is writing for you and it's really on brand, you like what they're writing, it's really aligned with who you are, and people are unsubscribing, they're not, first of all, they're never going to be purchasers. They're not going to buy from you. Like, they're not interested in what you're saying. And second of all, like, you think you're talking to a certain amount of people, but you're not talking to that many people. So when you launch something next time, you're going to think, oh, I have like, I don't know, I have 10,000 people on my list. Great. I have 10,000 people to market to. But then you have like 5,000 of those people who aren't really interested in you at all, because they never unsubscribed, right? So I think that those things, they might sound counterintuitive, but it's really better. It's like refining your audience and really finding who your tribe is, who the people that you want to sell to are. And as consumers, finding those people that we really want to buy from, instead of being in everyone's environment all the time, and going from one to the other and running like crazy. So I think it's just a healthier kind of market for everyone, for both buyer and seller. And I think as marketers, we can make that shift. We can help people become smarter with this. We can help business owners become smarter as well with this. And we can, help everyone actually in the end find what they're looking for.
Yeah. And I think that's the nicest thing of all, of being a marketer. And I only actually noticed this like this year or the past year, because I was like, I had a few clients that are really amazing, and they're doing amazing jobs and like helping a lot of people. And I'm like, and I'm here and I feel like I'm not doing anything to help anyone, but it's like, but hey, I helped this coach get these amount of clients, and then I saw what the client said for the coach, like their testimonials, how they help them. And that's why I am also like so open about my ADHD, because I want to work with coaches who work with people with ADHD. So I'm like, hey, I'm your target audience, so I have ADHD. Whilst many people maybe would hide that, because it's like, I don't know, society may think that if you have ADHD, you're a mess, when it actually is the complete opposite. It's just maybe if you're not interested in what you're doing, you don't focus, but you actually get the opposite. When you have ADHD, you get this thing called hyper focus, when you like something and when you're actually into something. And it's like, for me, it's like a power, the ADHD, because it's like you get all like the creativity of an ADHD person, but if you're like really into what you're doing, you get hyper focused. So I'm very open about my ADHD. You know what? If you don't like that, don't hire me. There's a ton other copywriters, marketers, go with them. But I think that, and that ties with what you were saying about staying true to yourself. And also staying true to yourself is being honest with your client as well.
No, I was just saying, like, well, you know, I have ADHD too, and I did used to hide it a lot. I think this is the first time I'm opening up about it, like in public, let's say. And I used to hide it not because I wanted to cheat on someone or whatever. But just because I thought, you know, it was like a negative thing to put on my resume in a way, exactly because of what you said. But in the end, that's just what it is. You know, we're all different. We all have our thing. It might be ADHD, it might be something else. And everything that we are can be seen as a positive or a negative thing by a client and by anyone in our lives, right? So it's about really being honest and opening up and sharing, okay, this is me, right? Like, what do you, if the person assumes that because you have ADHD, you're going to be a mess, and I don't know, you're not going to meet deadlines or something like that, then that's just their assumption, but it actually has nothing to do with you. And I think that applies to everything. So for me, something I would also hide before was the fact that I'm a diehard feminist. I am a feminist and really diehard feminist. So before I used to, you know, when I had to work with men, I wouldn't like I wouldn't turn into a sexist bitch for a bit, you know, I wouldn't, but I wouldn't just, you know, say that in the first call or something, or I wouldn't question whether their messaging was sexist or something in the discovery call. But now I know, like, I'm never going to work with someone who isn't like me, you know, who doesn't actually believe that we should all be in the same place, you know, men and women. I don't need anything other than that. I don't need someone who is going to all the protests or whatever, like I'm doing, but I do need someone who believes that we should have the same opportunities. Like, if I can't work with someone if they don't. And I think, you know, it's just part of our personality. And the same goes with being, and the same goes with everything. So I think it really ties back to that authentic factor that we were talking about before, and how you're going to live your experience as a freelancer when you get to choose your clients. And it's really important. I know that when you're starting out, it might seem like the most important thing is, you know, making buck and you know, like earning, I don't know, 1, 2, 3K per month so you can live the life that you want. And that's really important and that's really good. But the truth is that if you look at the world right now and the opportunities we have as freelancers, there's just so much. There are so many clients out there. There's so many businesses out there. So it's really just, you know, you holding tight for a little bit and staying true to yourself and not kind of bending over for someone just because you need to, you know, make ends meet, and breathing in and out and knowing it's going to be okay. And maybe you'll have to work a little bit harder to find those clients, but it's going to be fine. And once you do, you're going to be so much happier. You're not going to, you know, end up burnt out and hating yourself and not wanting to use those things in your portfolio because, hi, that happened to me. I don't want to show people I worked with those people, right? I don't want to do that. So in the end, it's kind of like unproductive work. That's what I call unproductive work, because yes, you worked, you used your hours to get this money, but other than that, you didn't learn anything. You didn't work with someone you're proud of. You didn't, you know, you didn't really get anything out of that experience other than money. And that's not really what we're doing when we build a business, right?
Exactly. And you're also missing the chance to network with other people who's like are in the same industry you want to work with, or the same niches. Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense. And so this what you were saying reminds me, the other day I was like glued to the screen to my phone, like reading your blog post. You were talking about the burnout thing, which is something I'm actually going through right now. And for other freelancers, maybe, right, like who are also going through that, what would you say? Because and I also, I guess the question that I want to ask is how you avoid burnout and how you come off it, and how did you arrive to this decision to actually stop working at an agency? I know you talked about that before, but I want to go a little bit deeper. Like, what was your wake up call? And
so the truth is that I've been burned out twice, not just one, in very different industries. So before I was a copywriter, I was an architect. Like I am an architect, but I don't work as an architect anymore. And I was working online as well. So I was working for quite a reputable company in Australia. And that's the first time I got burnt out, right? And it was a classic burnout. Hustle, 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 burnout, like classic. It doesn't get any classicer than that. And a really shitty boss that wouldn't give me a raise, so I was kind of like scrapping for the end of the month, like all these things that are very common leading to a burnout. And then I learned about marketing at the same time. I ended up going into copywriting. My world became better, everything became healthier. But I never thought I would get burned out because my schedule was no different. I was getting paid very well. Like I didn't have the problems that I had before. So I never thought I would end up in the same position. But the truth is that working with this one client that the agency had, it was a huge contract though. So it would take like 80% of my time, right? In my job.
So it was like the biggest client at the time.
It was at the time, it was the biggest client, yes. And it was complicated because in the beginning, I mean, the way this client would market themselves seemed like they were in alignment with what I thought, with what my boss even, thought about the world and our views and our values. So we were happy to work with this person. But then after a while, I think we both started seeing that it just wasn't what we thought. But I mean, I was still an employee. She was still my boss. So even though we had a great relationship, I wasn't going to just come out and say, oh, I hate this bitch. I don't want to work for this person. And she, on the other hand, had to handle a whole team. And she couldn't just be like, oh my God, I want to fire this client, after we had been working with her for so long and we had been getting really good results, because that's the other thing. She was getting great results with us. But there was this whole kind of vibe that was kind of, I wouldn't call it toxic, but it was really run down. Our energy was really run down. And I think that that's what eventually led me to the next burnout. It's just being in that energy every day, showing up to work. And every time I would open my computer, I'd be like, oh, and now I need to write this. And and getting feedback just meant, like, for me, I love getting feedback as a copywriter because I always feel it's my chance to improve my copy. It's my chance to get it to perform better, and better performance, better results. I can market myself better. It's just like, I love it. So in that case, every time I get feedback, it would mean like, oh my God, I have to work on this piece of copy again. I was just so bummed out all the time. So I was only looking forward to like my breaks, my work breaks. I was looking forward to the end of the day. I wasn't even working that much, but my brain was fried. And the thing that you have to understand with creative work, which I didn't at the time, I never made that connection, is you're squeezing your brain all the time. You're literally squeezing your brain. You can't do 14 hours of work a day sustainably. There's just no way you can do that. Even if you're the most creative person in the world, there's no way you can do that. So at the time, it was like I was squeezing my brain, and the squeezing was so much harder because my brain was so dry because I was just not inspired by this person. So I ended up, burnt out again. And I guess, I took a lot of time off that time, like 2 months off, or no, actually 6 months off. And it was amazing. I traveled the world, I did a lot of things that I wanted to do. I restructured my life or whatever, but I also really took the time to learn the lessons that burnout gave me. So for me, those lessons were, I know I have ADHD. So I know that also, fries my brain quicker than maybe someone who doesn't, because I'm very creative. But that creativity is, as you know, Mechi, is just like all over the place. So when I wake up in the morning and I'm my most creative of the day, I know that I need to sit down. And maybe, it's not very orthodox, right? But maybe I'm going to open like 5 different tasks that I have to do. And I'm going to write down the creative like outputs that I have for each thing. And then on the rest of the day, I can sit down. Okay, now I'm going to sit down with this. Now I'm going to develop this idea. Now I'm going to sit down with this. Now I'm going to develop this idea. And I think it's not, telling everyone you should copy my strategy as an ADHD person. I'm just saying you need to find the way that works for you. And you really need to sit down with yourself and listen to yourself and be honest, like, how much can I work in a day? And there's no right or wrong answer. There's nothing wrong with I'm going to admit it. I can't work more than 5 hours a day on creative work. I can do administrative work. I can pitch clients. I can answer emails, but I can't do more than 5 hours of creative work per day. That's okay. I used to feel bad about that, but why? You know, that's just who I am. My work is good. It performs. I have great results for my clients. That's what matters at the end of the day, right? And that's why now I'm not burnt out anymore.
Yeah. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can do like more than 5 hours of creative work. Like we're talking like actual productive hours, not like dead hours in the middle of like when you're I don't know, researching or pitching a client or getting back to a client or proofing your copy. I mean, I think that, yeah, the 5 hours is still a lot. So, I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
But I think that, yeah, when people talk about burnout, I think there's 2 types of burnouts. So you have like the burnout and then you have creative burnout. And as a copywriter or as a creative or a marketer, it is very important to take care of that because that is your creative juice and that's, you know, what you work with. So if you burn that out, then it's like you needed like 6 months to recover. I know some people like, I mean, it's not the same with copywriting, but for example, you know, my boyfriend, he's a developer and he says, he swears by this. He says that it is a very creative type of work. And I don't understand that because I'm not a developer, but he's like, it's super logical, but at the same time, it's like super, super creative. And he worked so hard that he pushed himself so badly. He got really burnt out and he's still recovering after such a long time. So it's like, no matter what you do, if what you do, it's something creative, whether that's writing, marketing, developing, or I don't know, designing or anything, you need to take care of your brain, whether you have ADHD or not. I mean, especially, I think I would say, especially if you don't have ADHD, probably. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't have ADHD. So, but yeah, I think that, but what I wanted to ask is coming back to that blog post, something I noticed is, and every time I read one of your blog posts, you recently started though, but they are like a page turner. I couldn't stop reading them. It's hard, and that's a good thing when someone with ADHD tells you that they can stop reading your copy. That means it's good because you know that we don't have that, you know, ability to like stay focused. So it's really hard to grab our attention. So I was like, and I wanted to ask you, maybe this is a more selfish question for me, but I'm sure that this will help anyone else out there listening. What are like your top tips to become a better storyteller? Because the thing about your copy that makes it, I think, so engaging, at least when it comes to your blog posts, is that you're a good storyteller. What are the secrets? I want to know.
So first, read a lot. I mean, I'm not kidding. I used to read very much when I was a kid. I mean, if you ask my sister, I didn't read at all because she reads way more than me. But anyway, I did read. And I do continue to read. And I read in English, which is the language in which I write, which is very helpful.
What specifically?
And it's not
like
about
nonfiction or fiction?
Fiction.
Yeah.
And actually, what I would say is it doesn't matter. Read something that you like. Read something that's going to keep you hooked and want to make you read more. Oh my God. But yeah, read something that you're interested in and that you really want, like the page turner for you and you want to read more. Just read, you know, and I'm not saying read every day. I'm not saying, you know, have a routine about it, or just try to read consistently. That's one thing. Another thing is, this might sound weird. So this is not for, you know, if you're starting your writing career. I would say this is after you've been writing for a while, but this is very cool. So I train my writing. So just like I go to the gym and I train my muscles, I like to train my writing by challenging myself to do different things. So for example, I've only written 2 blog posts so far, like for my own thing. The first one was about one moment in my life, right? So they're all stories that happened to me. So that's another thing. Telling stories that happen to you is the easiest thing in the world. Like telling stories for other people, you need to think about things a little bit more. But your stories are the easiest. So I use my stories as experiments, like these blog posts, to see people's reaction. And I test different things. So the first one was, how can I share one moment in history that is like literally happening in 3 minutes or something in a whole blog post? So what would that be like? You know, I'm just going to share this tiny, tiny, tiny little snapshot of my life in a whole blog post. And you know, the exercise for me was that. And then the second time it was about the burnout, etc. And it's like, okay, how can I tell this story? So I wanted to tell this story, you know, like A, B, C happened and D was the end, let's say. But I want to tell this story in a different way. I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with C, and I'm going to put this here. And what happens if I change up, you know, the order of the story and I tell it this way and I leave a cliffhanger there? So I kind of try to exercise by giving myself these like challenges. And that's why I call myself a storyteller too. It's just, I love, that's the other thing, you have to like it. But I would say they're like my tips. So there's no kind of science to it. The more sciencey thing you could probably do is look into hooks. So if you learn, you know, behind behavioral psychology, behind the, you know, the psychology of hooks and how they work, etc. The same way you would write a sales page, an email, an ad, or anything, you can start stories like that as well. Like if you apply the same logic. So I think as a storyteller, those are probably my main tips. I don't know if they're going to help you, but I hope they do.
Yeah, I think that storytelling is like your forte. At least I don't know. Whenever I read your posts, I'm like, wow, and I want to keep reading. So yeah, thank you for the tips. And now
thank you. I'm very flattered.
I don't want to make it too long because I know it's super early for you. It's super late for me because you're in Indonesia and I'm in Argentina. But yeah, before we finish the conversation, when we were talking about the podcast, one of the things we said we wanted to talk about, and I don't want to leave this out because I think, especially now that we're both joining the same, well, basically we're joining the same kind of programs. You with the Copy Bossy, then you went on with Ring, and now we're both taking Diana's course. Shout out to Diana if she's listening to this. I don't know if she will, but shout out to her. She's amazing. Actually, for people listening, if they know Diana, I have a podcast that I did with her. I'm gonna leave it down in the comments. But we mentioned the importance of networking, and I know this is very cliche, but they say network is your net worth, and I actually believe that. And the thing with that is it all comes down to what you were saying at the beginning when you were working for clients that do not align with you. That is not you're not networking because like they're not working in the niche or the industry you're interested in. So what do you have to say about networking, and how do you approach that, and how did it change your life as a freelance copywriter and marketer?
So networking for me has been like a whole, I would say, discovery. I'm a very social person, so I would say networking is very easy for me. But because I'm a nomad and because I'm from Argentina, so most of my, like, I only write in English. So this is important. I don't write in Spanish. I've never learned to do it, and I'm not going to learn to do it. I'm more comfortable in English, which means my network in Argentina is not like helpful for me at all, because nobody has a business that they run in English. And then when I travel, I'm usually mostly in Southeast Asia or Spain. So also, you know, places where, you know, it's lower income countries. So maybe their businesses are more bootstrapped, you know, they can't really pay a copywriter, and it's in a different language, like all these things that are hurdles for me. So networking has not been easy. But, you know, it's happened here and there. And for me, the main thing has been learning to network online, to understand, you know, that you can actually develop relationships online, and knowing that it's not about, you know, adding someone on LinkedIn and pitching them your service. It's, you know, who am I interested in? Who do I want to meet? Diana is an excellent example, right? So it's not like I saw Diana and thought, oh, I want to network with Diana, but I saw her and I thought, wow, she's so cool. So I started talking to her, and now we talk a lot, you know, and now I feel like in a way she's in my network, even though I don't really feel like I'm networking with her. So I would change the term networking for building relationships with people you're interested in, because ultimately the people that you resonate with are the people who are either going to own a business that you resonate with, or are going to know people who own businesses that you resonate with, because they're aligned with you, they're not aligned with your values. So I think it's just about that, expanding that network in a way that feels easy and comfortable for you. So at the end of the day, if you need to network online, you don't need to feel like, oh, I'm going to sit down. I know a lot of coaches and people, programs that recommend, sit down and network for like an hour a day or an hour a week or this kind of thing. It's just not my vibe at all. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
like
do
a
that,
job. Like, no.
Yeah, what am I even supposed to do? So it's like, no, that's not my thing. If I'm going to sit down 1 hour a day, I want to be talking to people that I want to talk to. And that's it. So why not just build a network with the people that you want to talk to? And even if it's slower, even if you're not directly talking to the business owners who need copywriters today, it's the network that keeps building on and on and on. And you keep filling your world with people that you are interested in, who might have a business in the future or might know someone who needs you in the future. And then this is, it happens slower, but that's when after that, referrals happen, they start coming in, and I guess it's just more sustainable, easier on your brain. It doesn't feel like work, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And that's what I think, that sometimes by networking, you also actually become friends with the people you network with. Like, for example, I don't know, when you reached out to me, I think it was because of a story from the Copy Bossy or something like that, because I'm from Argentina. Like, oh wait, a copywriter from Argentina who also writes in English and is studying with the Copy Bossy. Like, I gotta check that out. And that to me, I mean, I at this point, I mean, by the way, we have never seen each other like face to face in like real life, but I do consider yourself a friend, because like I talk to you more than I talk to some of my friends on a daily basis. So that it's very interesting. The same with Diana. I also talk a lot with her, and it's like, it was not networking. It was like, yeah, she's fucking amazing. Like, look at what she did. And you end up like following people that you're inspired by for the things that they went through, the things that they achieved, or basically their personality, or something that you want to learn from them. And you end up becoming friends. They end up becoming like, maybe they could become your client, or maybe they could be like, you know what, I don't know, if I have a lot of work, I can be like, hey, Cari, I need help. Like, can you help me with this? And so can you. And like, and then also like networking, or actually building relationships, like, say I like that term much better, with other people who are not even within the same field of work. Like, it doesn't have to be just a copywriter, it could be any creative. We could be talking designers. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been looking for designers, because my clients, they're designers too, and they also need a developer, and so on. So it's like, and you build this these relationships and these friendships, and it's beautiful, because like, you help each other, and it's, I don't know, I think it's a cool concept.
Agree. Like, I agree. I mean, you know what? One of my clients, VA, she's amazing at her job. Okay. Like, I'm not going to downgrade her. She's unbelievably good. The best BA I've ever seen, like, in any client. So I've worked with her now, and I see how she works. And we also developed a really nice relationship, because, we get along as human beings, and I know what she thinks and that kind of thing. So then other clients of mine were looking for a VA, and now she has, like, she already signed on to work with another one of my clients. She has a discovery call booked with another one of my clients, and like, she's getting work through me because of that. And it's not something that she wanted when she started talking to me. We just started talking because we vibed. And then that happened, and that can happen to you as well. Like, I guess in the long run, it's just better. You never know what's going to happen in the future, really. So I would say foster those relationships. And like you said, Menchi, for example, for me, sustainability is big, right? So if I meet a fashion designer, and they're into sustainability, and they're doing, like, I don't know, zero waste fashion or whatever, I'm going to be super interested in talking to that person. I don't care if they need a copywriter or not, but that becomes part of your network, part of your community, let's say. And you never know what might come out from that.
Yeah, that's true. You never know. So just go ahead and try. And like I always say, for the people who haven't started yet, there are a lot of people listening that want to become freelancers. Doesn't matter if they want to be a writer, doesn't matter what language they speak. But I think that it's a nice way to like actually finish the entire thing is no matter what you do, if you want to like start your own business or become a coach or work as a copywriter or any type of creative or whatever you want to do, even like start a YouTube channel, just do it. You don't know where it's going to end. But in the meantime, you know that at least you're following your passion and you're staying true to your values, which is basically what we've been talking all along. And I think it's like, I don't know, I mean, staying true to your values, for me, it's the secret to being happy. Like if you go against...
And one more thing, I would say, take days off. I'm not kidding. Take days off. Like the amount of people that I see because they work, they're like, oh, this is my passion. I'm okay. I want to be the best at it. And it's just my passion. It's fine. No, and every single one of them, including me, end up burned out. Take days off.
Take days off. Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter how much you love it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, don't be like me. Take a day off.
Don't be like me.
How do you deal with that? Do you know what I do? Sometimes I do feel like guilty when I take a day off. I'm not lying. I mean, unless I'm traveling. If I'm traveling, I don't feel guilty at all because I like traveling. But if I'm at home, it's like, oh, well, I could be working on that project, you know, because when you're a freelancer, you always have work, you know, you always have something to do.
Yes.
So if you had to give me an advice, what would it be? Like, I'm not traveling at the moment. So it's not like I'm doing something that wow, I'm like, you know, having so much fun. It's like, I don't know, it's comes the weekend and most people hang out. I'm like, but yeah, maybe I could like, just a little bit of work. And then if I don't do it, I feel bad.
I think you need to commit to taking at least a day off a week, like commit to it really. And I get how hard it is, especially when you have ADHD, because this brain of ours is so hard to control and we can be so creative. And because we love what we do, it can kind of be like a never ending fountain of creativity, which is amazing. But at the same time, if you don't let that recover with some time off, that creativity is going to go down the drain. And if you don't commit to taking time off, and by that, I mean, you know, sometimes I wake up on a Saturday, like I take weekends off the whole weekend. Like that's my thing. I need the weekends off. And I realize that's the way I work best. That's how I keep my creative juices flowing. That's just the way, what I need. So when I wake up on a Saturday, and this happens very often, and the first thing I think about is a creative idea for work. Instead of, you know, going to my phone to write it down like I would do on a regular weekday, I'm like, no, I don't care how good it is. No, I'm not going to think about work today.
How do you do that?
No, I don't care how good it is because I need that.
I cannot do that. If I showed you
to do that, you know
my notebook, you would die. All of my ideas are there. Like sometimes it's, I don't know, maybe I wake up at like 3 a.m. It's like, I have this great like idea and I have to do it. And it would be like the random, you know, something random, like a business idea or a copy idea or a book I want to write. And it's not just with copywriting, with marketing, it's with everything that, you know, things that I want to do, like, oh, I should do this business and I should make this TikTok and this podcast and call this person. And it's so crazy. It's like, it doesn't shut up. It just shut up for once. It's crazy. How do you go? Like, how do you actually not write the idea?
Because it's like, okay, so if it's an idea for me, if it's not for work, then it's okay. You know, I can let that thought develop into something. But when it comes to work, I've learned that I really need to switch it on and off, like manually, you know. I really need to commit to make that effort, because if it's up to me, if it's up to my brain, it's never off. So I can be surfing in the middle of the ocean and I'm thinking about a client, right? And that's not good for me. Like I'm not saying this is something everyone should do. This is something everyone's not going to be the same for everyone. Okay. I'm not saying, Mechi, stop writing things down. Like, no, if it works for you, that's cool. But for me, I need that time off. I need to be able not to think about work for 2 days. And the only way to do that is, if I think about work, is to shut that away, you know, just to shut it down and keep it away and be like, no, you can come back on Monday. Bye. Thank you. You know, and maybe I won't have the same idea coming back on the week, but most often I do. Like most often that rest provides me the same idea and better ideas as well. And what I saw is when I didn't take time off, or when I didn't take enough time off, my creativity would slowly dwindle and dwindle and dwindle until I had a vacation. And then after my vacation, I'd be amazing again, and then dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. It's kind of like overtraining, when you're overtraining at the gym. So you get like, you don't feel good, you feel weaker and weaker, and you're like tired all the time. And then I don't know, you don't train because you're injured, or you go on holiday or whatever, and you come back and you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. It's like, oh babe, you're overtraining. So it's the same for my brain. Like if I see that's happening, it's because I need more time off. So the sweet spot for me has been, creative work, maximum of 25 hours a week, let's call it that. And then 2 days off, like totally off.
Yeah, I love that. And well, before we leave, there's something I always ask everyone, and I'm going to ask it to you too. Is there any question I didn't ask that you would like to, that you would like me to ask you, or anything you want to close with?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's one thing I would like to say, and it's on this topic as well. And it's like, how do you feed your creativity is also really important, because we talked a lot about like how not to drain it, but you need to feed it as well. And this is going to sound super cheesy and corny, and you can come at me if you want, but you need to do things you love. Like you really need to do things you love other than, working. Even if you love your job, there's probably more things that you love, and you should try to do them. It doesn't matter if you're bad at them, by the way. You can be terrible at your hobbies. It's not your job, So for me, it's like, yes, traveling the world, but it's because I like to see new places. I like to try new activities. And feeding your creativity is that, it's a mix of going after the things you love, trying new things and being inspired by like, maybe I like something new, testing yourself, challenging yourself to something new. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But then you can, get more little tools in your toolbox, let's say. And I think all these things make you a lot more creative when you have more and more experiences that you lived. I think you end up becoming more creative, and like feeding those things that you love to yourself is like feeling good, feeling of really feeling good about yourself and feeling happy. I think that really feeds your creativity as well.
I love it. And with that said, first of all, thank you for coming to the podcast. I'm super glad to have you. I know it's been, we've been talking about this for years, well, not years, because I haven't, but like we've been talking about this for a long time. It was really hard to actually find the time, but I really want to thank you for being here. And now's your time to pimp yourself out. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the.ethicalwriter. Sorry. You can probably find me on LinkedIn too, but I don't really use it very much. No Facebook, no anything else. And then if you want to email me any questions, you can do so at hello@carinarigoni.com. That's my name. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer anything.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to leave the links below. Thank you for coming. And well, for everyone else listening out there, thank you for staying. See you next time.